My name's Courtney Angeli, and I'm here today to introduce to you a topic called Imperfect Leadership. And I'm really excited because I'm here with a group of some of my favorite leaders in the credit union space, the Crash the GAC 20 leadership team. So before I get into my leadership story, I'm just going to go ahead and show all of you who is going to be talking to you today and sharing with you all of their stories. And I'm going to give them all an opportunity to introduce themselves. So give me just one moment while I bring them all in here. All right. Welcome.
Hi.
So, Ben,
Hello.
you said hi first. Why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I just didn't want all the awkward stares. I'm Ben Dollar. I'm the VP of Marketing at Simplicity Credit Union, and we're based in Marshfield, Wisconsin. We have several locations in the central Wisconsin area.
I'll go next. So I'm Becca Davies. I work for Visa, and my position at Visa is I'm an account executive for about 400 small community issuers that consist of credit unions within the state of New York and Connecticut.
And I'm Sarah Worth. I am a marketing lead at Credit Union National Association. So we support and advocate on behalf of all credit unions nationwide. So thank you all for what you're doing right now. And we're here to help you in these times. So if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And so really quickly, I'm just going to tell you all a little bit about what inspired this chat today. And in full transparency, it really is based on my own anxiety and my own fears that I was going through last week. So through this conversation, chatting with Becca, this idea of imperfect leadership evolved. And really what that stems from is, we're all stuck at home. Some of us are getting out and hopefully exercising, but a lot of us are scrolling right now. We're looking at our phones, we're glued to LinkedIn, we're glued to social media, and on a good day, it can be really challenging, and we find ourselves, maybe comparing ourselves to other people. And on a bad day, going through a pandemic, that can just be even more challenging. So, I was taking some of those thoughts and thinking, man, if we have these fears and anxieties personally, I bet this is also happening in leadership where, as emerging talent, as rising leaders in the credit union space, where we're starting to see what some of the most amazing humans are doing in credit unions right now. Maybe starting to compare ourselves to some of these leaders. Maybe we don't feel like we're there yet. Maybe we don't feel like we're doing enough to support our teams. Either way, we're in this mode where we're comparing. So today, I just kind of wanted to break the ice a little bit and just talk about some of those real authentic moments in leadership that really helped us to see that, leaders are human. They're not perfect. And at the end of the day, they really just want to make sure that we can do our jobs. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with my story first, and then I'm going to let our mentors share their stories. So I was at a credit union conference. This was, 2019, so when we were still meeting in person. And I was sitting down with the senior vice president of a very large corporation that you all have probably heard of before. And we were just, chatting, networking, and all of a sudden he starts to tell me that he really loves romantic comedies. And I know that seems super simple and super strange, but you have this idea of like a senior vice president and the things that they like to do for fun or on their free time, and sometimes romantic comedies doesn't really show up. I like to think that a lot of these senior leaders are just kind of reading Forbes or the Wall Street Journal every single day, but that's really not the case. And what this showed me is, one, he was willing to be vulnerable, and two, he's a real human being that was willing to share something that most men also don't share. So that's one of my favorite stories. And like moving forward, what that taught me is no matter who I'm talking to, it's really important to own up to the things that you love and are passionate about, even if other people might think, wow, that's really weird that you are a leader and you love romantic comedies and you're also a man. So that was just my story. I love it. It makes me laugh on the inside. And now I'm going to bring it over to our good friend.
Oh, alrighty, I think I am live. So thanks, Courtney, for passing it along to me. So I'll share some stories about imperfect leadership. And, this actually is a little bit more intimate than just, talking to, one of the senior leaders at Visa. It was actually a conversation that I had with my manager last week. Last week, I was, just really feeling down, and I was really having trouble concentrating on my work. And my manager and I were having this conversation, and she was like, it's okay to step away and take a break. If you have PTO, she was like, why don't you just take one day and step away from everything that's going on. And I kind of, we were Skyping, so I could see her face, and I looked at her and I was like, are you serious? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I can tell that things are really stressful for you right now, and you're coming to terms with just everything that's going on with the global pandemic, and being inside, and maybe not getting as much fresh air as you're used to, or interacting with as many humans as you're used to. So I loved the fact that she gave me that permission to take off and be able to kind of step away. And that's something that I really want to encourage other people. Is that take time for yourself during this period. Be gracious with yourself in the sense that if you're feeling down and if you're feeling bad, that's okay. And a lot of people are feeling similar. And if you have, extra PTO days, because none of us are traveling or going on these vacations that we might have planned, still take PTO and still take time for yourself. Whether that's, taking a day to just read, or, I don't know, I personally took a bubble bath because that helped me de-stress a little bit. But it's about knowing yourself and knowing when you're getting to a point of needing to take a breakaway. And I think that you don't always have to be on. You can allow yourself to take a step away. So that's the imperfect leadership story that I thought I would share. And now I will pass it over to my good friend Ben, and he'll share his story.
Awesome. Thanks, Becca. So my story, the story part of it is brief, but for me, the takeaways from it are pretty big. This October will be 4 years at Simplicity for me, and before I came into the credit union, I didn't really know much about credit unions, the cooperative differences, anything like that. And one thing that kind of like helped seal the deal for me to choose to make the leap into a totally different career was I got to meet our CEO, Pat Westenberg, who, if any of you who might be listening know who Pat is, she's just one of the most amazing people in the world. And amongst all of the amazing leadership qualities that she displays, humility is one that just really sticks out for me with her. And she sets a great example, and that's something that I continue to strive to be better at as a leader, is to be more humble. And one of my favorite quotes around humility is from Rick Warren, who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life, and it says that humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So I think sometimes people mistaken humility for like self-shaming or pointing out your own weaknesses and stuff like that, which might come naturally as part of just being humble, right? Is being vulnerable and allowing yourself to say that you're not perfect and things like that. But it's also not about you, right? Like, it's about thinking about your people, maybe the people on your team, maybe your family, whoever it might be. So One thing that Pat just does so well is she's an excellent coach, and she asks, like, how can she help employees do their job better, or what can she do to help improve a situation or develop a skill, whatever it might be, and then she listens, and then she gets out of the way and she lets you learn, and I think that that's such a tough thing when you're in a leadership position. You're there for a reason. You've learned some things along the way. Maybe you have some great experience, maybe formal education, whatever it might be, but to be able to put all of that stuff aside, share what you know, and then get out of people's way and let them learn and do themselves is such a difficult thing to do, and something that I think every leader is imperfect at and needs to continue to improve over time. So I just love the idea of creating like low risk spaces where employees can think and do by themselves. So humility, that's the name of the game, I guess, for me, for my story. So and now I'll pass it over to Sarah.
Hi guys. So my story is kind of funny. One of the senior leaders at CUNA a couple years ago, I was watching her present and she let out a cuss word. And I was like, oh my gosh, she swore. You think that you have to be like this certain type of person to be in a leadership role, and you have to say the right things, you have to wear the right outfits, and especially being a woman, I feel like sometimes you think that you have to act a specific way to be seen as someone with authority. So when I heard her swear, I was like, wow, okay, she is just like me. She's a person, she has emotions, she's going through it just like I am. And it really made me realize that being exactly who you are in the workplace will get you so much further than if you're trying to put on this facade that you are somebody else. Going back to what Becca said about really taking time to like understand who you are and why you are the way that you are is super important. And if you don't take the time to like acknowledge that you are doing things a certain way because of how you maybe grew up or different types of circumstances, and especially in a time like this where there's so many unknowns, if you just put this wall up, you're gonna put that wall up to the people that report to you. And even if you're not in a leadership or a manager title role, you can still be a leader to people. So be a lending hand, ask people how they're doing, set up happy hours, lunches, whatever you need to do to kind of just take that time to just get to know each other and have just like a really authentic moment in this space that's super weird and nobody's really okay. So admitting that and really learning about each other in times like this is super important. So I would just leave you with be you and don't hide it and don't be afraid to share exactly who you are, because people are going to respond to you so much more and so much better. So I'm going to kick it over to a new addition. She was a little delayed because of this live thing, so I'm going to shoot it over to Lauren.
Always late to the party. So hi guys, my name is Lauren Davis. I am the marketing supervisor at Meritus Credit Union in Lafayette, Louisiana. Sorry I wasn't able to do introductions before, but my really just like little nuggets for today deal with imposter syndrome. So I can tell you the first time that I heard this term was from actually a GAC crasher a couple years ago. And I don't know why I had never heard it before, but it just blew my mind the first time I heard someone actually explain what imposter syndrome is. And it resonated with me so deeply. I like literally just lost it. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that's me. So a little bit about my story. I worked in a marketing department for my credit union for a few years and recently moved into a management role last year. And of course, just, like the feelings of having to compare myself with someone else. I, was just like, there's no way I'm going to be this great, amazing leader. If they really found out that I'm just not qualified to do this job, they would fire me immediately. Just some really negative thoughts that I feel like most people, might resonate with if they're just alone thinking by themselves. But I really had to take a step back and understand that leaders in every stage have insecurities, and it's not, your CEOs and your SVPs and people that seem like they have it together. It's not something I feel like that comes easily to anyone. Leadership. I feel like everybody is entitled to their own path, learning things as they go, growing as you mature and as you learn more, and wherever you're at, that's okay. My little nuggets just is to stay humble, stay kind of to Ben's point, just have humility, know that you don't know it all, and that's okay. Be real, be authentic, be honest with where you're at. If you don't know something, just say, I don't know. And always be a listener. You always want to take feedback from people and really hear them and make changes where you can. But most of all, just be human. And being human is beautiful, and that's okay. And if people, especially people that you're leading, um, understand and know and can see that you are real with them, then they just have so much more respect for you. And I just being human is always the way to go in every situation. And that's all I have. I'm going to turn it back over to Courtney. And
And there I did, I cut her off. But Lauren, thank you so much. And what a wonderful note to end on. Being human is beautiful. And it's so funny. As I was going through my crazy week of anxiety, one of the things that my boss said to me that really just kind of helped me calm down a little bit, so maybe this will help you all too, is she said, Courtney, if there was ever a time for a typo, it's now. And the the fact that you can be a human being, the fact that you can have mistakes, more people will just find you to be more authentic. It's not going to harm you more than hurt you. Whereas by being perfect, that can be more of a struggle. So just wanted to leave that with you. And really quickly, I just want to give another opportunity for some of our guests to share any last minute insights before we say goodbye. So really quickly, here are our mentors from GAC real quick, just to kind of give us any closing thoughts.
It's like, who's gonna do it?
Who's gonna do it?
Lauren,
I would
I was
just
gonna
say,
say,
like everybody said, it's like, can you hear me?
yeah.
I feel like everyone, just be yourself. I mean, that's really what everybody ended up kind of getting to, is it doesn't matter your background. Everybody has situations that they go through, and when you can relate to somebody on that more intimate level, it will ultimately make your team stronger and be a lot more productive. So if you're able to give anybody some insight into your life, then they'll probably be more open to sharing with you about their experiences. So just spend some time getting to know the people on your team and the people around you, because you never know what that could lead to.
Yeah. And I'll piggyback off of that, and I really resonated with what Lauren talked about in terms of imposter syndrome. I feel like I feel imposter syndrome on a daily basis. Working for Visa and working for such a large corporation, I have clients ask me so many things that I don't know, and I'm tested a lot, in the sense that I have to own up to when I don't know something and tell the client, hey, great question. I unfortunately don't know the answer, but I can get back to you. And so I think the more that you do that, the more confidence you end up having in the long run, because you're not trying to, fake this false sense of confidence. You're confident in the fact that I actually don't know the answer to that. So that's just something that I thought I'd leave you all with.
That's awesome. I feel like so often too, people say fake it till you make it. And you know, it's not really, you don't have to be fake. You can just be real, and you are making it, I feel like, by being your most real, true self.
Be
Totally.
real until you make it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Yeah, just be real, everyone. If that's like the one takeaway, just be yourself. But really, the call to action that I'm going to leave you all with today is just take some time this week, next week. Think about some of the leaders in your life and really think about them. You know, what are some of the best qualities that these leaders embodied that you really want to either learn that skill or start to kind of absorb yourself? Or maybe think about some qualities that you want to avoid. You know, there are things that I know I've done as a leader that I'm sure some of my past team members are like, dear God, I never want to do that. But that's how you know who you want to be as a leader, by really going through, taking stock and taking the best bits of your favorite leaders and saying, this is what's for me, leaving things that are not for you to the wayside. And just at the end of this exercise, I encourage you to just kind of just write down the leader that you envision yourself to be. What does he or she look like, and what steps are you taking right now that are going to help you achieve that vision? So I thank you again for joining us for our very first Cooperative Chats chat show. We will see you again on May 6th at the same time, 1:30 p.m. Central Time, where we will bring you some more exciting conversations on leadership, and we cannot wait to see you there. So thank you so much, and be sure to like and